These players have played great all season long and have shown time and time again why they're getting paid millions of dollars just to play basketball. But while some players tend to get worse in the spotlight, other guys tend to turn it up a notch, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about the best players of the 2023 NBA playoffs. And first on the list, we have Jalen Brunson. When Jalen was traded last year, there was talks of his contract being too much money, but as the year progressed, this trade would wind up being the best thing that happened to New York. When Jalen was in Dallas with Luka, he really didn't seem like the superstar kind of player, but as he played more and more with the Knicks, he quickly showed how capable he is of carrying a team. With the Knicks this season, Jalen Brunson averaged 20.4 points per game, 3.5 rebounds per game, and 6.2 assists. And throughout all that, he's been able to shoot at 49% from the field. The way that Jalen moves with the ball is kind of hard to explain, but he gets to his spot and plays at his own pace. And now that I think about it, it's kind of just like how Luka plays. Jalen isn't the most athletic player in the league, he can't jump out the gym like Ja Morant, and he doesn't rely on speed to get his way offensively. But even with his lack of athleticism, he still finds a way to get to his spot and get his shot off. When I look at the starting lineup for the Knicks, the first thing that comes to mind definitely isn't the fact that they're a championship team. In fact, heading into the first round, I expected them to be a first round exit. I mean, this lineup consists of Quentin Grimes, Julius Randle, Jalen Brunson, RJ Barrett, and Mitchell Robinson. Now, as I said before, I didn't expect them to make it out the first round, so they already exceeded my expectations. And I must note that they did lose to Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat, and this team did go on to the NBA Finals. So we definitely can't say that New York got beat by some scrubs. But back to Jalen. Jalen really did everything in his power to make sure that the Knicks would win in the first round, and that worked out perfectly because they were able to casually go past the Cavaliers in just 5 games. In this series, Jalen averaged 23 points per game, and if you watch these games, you can easily tell how impactful Jalen was and how his presence on the court converted to W's for the Knicks. Moving on to the second round, Jalen averaged 31 points per game, and his best playoff moment would come in Game 6. In this game, Jalen scored 41 points, went 5 of 10 from deep, and made 14 out of his 22 field goal attempts. And this gave him a 63.6% field goal percentage. But since this was such a low scoring game, with some simple math, we can easily tell that Jalen Brunson scored 44% of the Knicks' points. However, some people will still blame Jalen Brunson for this loss because of this play.
Brunson spinning, Brunson leaning, shoveling into traffic, he turns it over, Brunson turns it over, and Butler is fouled.
Now personally, I can't blame Jalen because of how good he was in the series, and in my opinion, he really was the only one that showed up for the Knicks. But at the same time, if he didn't turn over the ball, there is a chance that we would be watching the Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals. Also fresh, also smooth, it's your boy Eli back with the groove, and before we continue on with this video has been brought to you by the big red subscribe button down below. Yeah, you see it, I see it, I mean we all see it, but for some reason, most of you guys still haven't clicked it yet. Well, if you're still watching this video, then there's a good chance that you'll be back, so you might as well subscribe and help a brother out. But for those of you guys who have subscribed, I just want to say thank you. Now next up on my list is Stephen Curry. Now Stephen Curry is undoubtedly the greatest shooter of all time, and Steph's greatness is on the level of Michael Jordan's, and if it's not on his level, then he's probably surpassed it by now. Now before all of you old heads or Jordan's fans come at me, just hear me out for a second.
But wait! There's more!
Jordan, just like Curry, was the reason why a lot of people started watching basketball. And a lot of kids wanted to fly like Mike, but the only thing is there's just a small percentage of people that can actually fly, and I'm pretty sure that's 1%. And if you don't know what I mean by fly, I mean dunking. And I personally haven't seen any normal kids dunk. And what I mean by normal is kids that are not 6'7" at the age of 15. Now, no matter how tall or short you are, literally everybody can shoot as long as you have arms. You see, shooting is a skill that you can work on and get better at, and I'm not trying to say that you can't work on your hopping abilities, but it's a lot easier to be able to get off a good shot rather than to dunk a ball. If you go to the park nowadays, you'll see a lot of kids playing basketball, and when you look at the kids play, they're not really driving to the rim to be like LeBron James or Michael Jordan. No, in fact, they're shooting the ball from deep and letting it fly. Growing up, I played ball all the time, and I never thought that I'd be able to dunk like Michael Jordan or LeBron James. But after watching a 3-point shooting contest with Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson, I quickly decided in that moment that I would be one of the best shooters I know. And to my credit, I was. But Steph is now 34 years old, and it's crazy how well conditioned he is. In fact, some will tell you that Steph Curry's condition is one of his superpowers. In the playoffs this year in the first round, the Warriors were going back and forth with Mike Brown and De'Aaron Fox and just the Kings team as a whole, and the Warriors were even down 0-2 in this series. But with Steph Curry leading them, they were able to win their next 2 games, and they were even able to steal Game 5 away from home. Now this win was important because it gave them back home court advantage. Because if you didn't know, the Warriors were the 6th seed and the Kings were the 3rd seed. However, when the Warriors had a chance in Game 6 to end it all for the Kings, they weren't able to do so, and they let the Kings win another game. This put them in a really tough position because the Warriors really aren't a road team. In fact, this year they had one of the worst road records out of all the teams in the league. But despite all that, as they headed back to Golden One Center, Stephen Curry put on an amazing performance that would go down in the history books. I mean, heading into this game, Steph Curry even said that he wasn't able to sleep because he was disgusted at how bad the team had played. So Steph Curry put the team on his back in Game 7 and dropped 50 points on the Kings while attempting the most field goals in his career at 38. So if the Kings wanted to win this game, they would have had to stop Steph, and that didn't happen. And this performance from Stephen Curry would wind up being record-breaking because this was the most points in a Game 7 of an NBA series. But sadly, Jason Tatum had to come along and ruin the fun for us Warriors fans and break that record in no time. But moving on from Steph, let's talk about Jimmy Butler. Now, Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat have literally shocked everyone except for maybe Heat fans, but let's talk about what exactly they did to get into the finals. Now, in order to get to the finals as an 8th seed, which by the way has only been done once by the 1999 Knicks, the Heat had to play against a stacked Milwaukee team who had Giannis as their leader. Now, even though Giannis was injured for most of the series, it's still amazing that Jimmy Butler and the Heat was able to beat this team. However, there's no denying that in Game 4 against the Bucks was definitely Jimmy's best game. Jimmy Butler went above and beyond in this game, dropping 56 points, which is ridiculous from anyone at any point in the season, let alone the playoffs. And in a day and age where we see more and more 3-point attempts being attempted, Jimmy Butler only had 8 attempts, making 3 of them. He went 19 of 28 from the field, and he did that shooting at 67.9%, and it's safe to say that without this performance from Jimmy, the Heat would have never made it to the finals. But even though the Heat didn't win in the finals, this season has been everything but a failure for them because nobody expected them to even be there. But Heat fans, I want to hear from you in the comment section down below. What do you think that Miami has to do in order to be a championship winner? Now moving on, we have Nikola Jokić. Honestly, I was contemplating not even putting Jokić in this video because we all know how great Nikola has been throughout this season and the postseason as well. I mean, you don't win back-to-back MVP awards without being great, and you most certainly don't win championships and finals MVPs without being one of the best players in the league. I quickly realized that to not have him on this list should probably be a crime and should be punishable with time. I mean, Jokić nearly averaged a triple-double during the playoffs. And on top of that, he even made history being the very first player to have the most points, rebounds, and assists in a single playoff run. And the thing that I like most about Jokić is he always plays basketball as a team player and he doesn't play for himself. He most certainly doesn't pad his stats like other players will do, and he's just one of the greatest leaders that you'll see in the NBA today. Jokic's assists mainly comes from players cutting to the basket, and if you're on the Nuggets team, you know that if you cut and you're open, Jokić will find you. And Jokić is just about 7 feet tall, so he's definitely going to be able to grab rebounds, plus one of the most efficient plays in the half-court offense is a Jokić post-up. So hopefully that explained how Jokić was almost able to average a triple-double. And last on my list is LeBron James. LeBron James has basically been running the NBA for the past 2 decades, and that's kind of crazy to think about because I haven't even been alive that long. But nonetheless, he's still a great player, and we have to talk about what he did against the Denver Nuggets. Now, I know exactly what you're thinking. The Lakers got swept, so what exactly could LeBron have even done to the Nuggets? Well, in Game 4, LeBron James put up a fight, and he definitely wasn't going to go out like a buster. Because in this game, LeBron James scored 40 points on the night, and he did that while having 9 assists and grabbing 10 rebounds. And on top of all of that, LeBron James played all 48 minutes in the game like if this was 2016. But sadly for LeBron James, the Lakers weren't able to win this game and they did get swept by the Nuggets. But at least LeBron didn't go out like a buster and he put out a good fight. So if you made it to the end of the video, comment MVP down below just so that I know. You guys can follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and even Twitter as well. All of my links will be in the description. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and make sure you turn on your notifications. It would mean the world to me. If you guys want to check out my worst playoff performance videos, you guys can do that right here. And until next time, as always, let's light 'em up.